Absolutely. I bet I saw the park and the really bad, especially at the.
Oh, yeah.
Yesterday, they were really good. I never faced a couple times.
Basketball.
They saw it.
And they're walking straight into it. And I was like, oh, somebody else.
After the meeting, I'll call Bill and tell him, make sure.
One that was
I guess the first thing.
Yeah.
He will anyhow.
We,
Okay.
so we.
Bill said that Gene Mahoney called him up and said,
No, we have come from the road. We did.
Yep.
Yes.
I don't know, the analysis, I was first to the third candidates.
yeah.
Also, I think it could be made for.
People.
2 hours till the next game.
Yeah.
We'll get you the. Baseball.
I know it's early.
And whether.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I loved baseball. Like, it was a lot of time.
I think that was the, okay, one of the several disappointments that was my father. Because he was like counting the baseball. Yeah, it's just something I said.
Okay. I even love it. It's not this middle ground like baseball. It's like, this is slow sport. If you, it's not, it's very strategic. And if you're, you know, you're excited about it.
Well, see, this is it. Why don't we try to get a home run every time they're up?
Okay, question for you. Now, when it just jumps and goes to something, what do you? It just,
There's a lot of
Just,
okay, it's just that, that's what this thing does.
well, that we could probably.
I'm taking it over. I called Paul.
Did you?
And I said,
In my.
figure out what I gotta get, or I'll bring this thing over, you wave your wand over it or whatever. Cause I said, I'll be on looking at emails and all of a sudden it'll just,
Yeah.
don't touch the damn thing, I'm reading it and all of a sudden it'll jump to something else.
Think about the professional round and.
I know, right?
He said, I thought you were gonna get a different one. I said, well, I don't.
Yeah, so I just wanted to see that.
Friends from next travel with, and that's like it had for every year. And we've given them this couple times when the World Cup was on. So this afternoon. I don't know. Actually, pictures of it coming all the way down to the lake. And
Worried about killing fish?
but I'm like,
I'm still working on that, right?
Okay, what happened?
I mean, I'm sure someone. Oh, that was great. You never know. Fantastic. And I
Or
most of it just.
well, I bet you might, you know, could be. In front of Jay here by my house.
Yeah.
And that's.
They picked up on one side of the street.
Yeah.
And he swung over to pick up by Jay's, and in between, it must have cycled and blew a line. And there was a circle,
So you got 900.
6 feet wide for 50 feet by the time he stopped of oil.
Yeah.
And that was Monday I did. And they're working on. They pulled up. They said, hey, chance guys done any power drive with? Oh, we were, yeah, I'll go get some right now. That'd be nice.
Well, if I had a gallon of Dawn dish soap, I would just spread the whole thing down. It'd been gone in 2 minutes, you know.
That end at,
So they went, oh, what's
Mark out to it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
cool.
Yeah, just stop by. Oh, it'd be noisy enough to get a little
Gotcha.
tap there. All right, let's call the meeting over at 6 o'clock. Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us for the February 6th, 2023 City Council meeting, Credit River. We will start with approving or amending the agenda. Is there any changes to the agenda anybody'd like to make tonight?
I would like to add to.
Council member updates?
I don't know, wherever you want to throw it there. General.
We
business.
can do a general business 7.3, the speed limits.
Speed limits on 27.
County Road 27. All right. Anything else?
Nope.
If nobody has anything else, I would take a motion to approve the agenda with the one amendment.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Leroy. Thank you, Jay. A motion and a second to approve the agenda with the one noted change. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Sheriff report, Deputy Fearson, welcome. If you would please go ahead and the square button on there, hold it down for a second, turn that microphone on. There you go.
Gotta be loud.
Well, that's the world of YouTube can hear you.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So we do have the December stats. So there were a total of 70 calls in December. 25% of those calls were handled by the contract deputy, which was the deputy strat at the time. 45% being covered by the other deputies that were on at the time. In those calls, there were 14 accidents. They called a little bit of snow.
Plenty of snow.
So that was the big agenda for December, I guess, for call load. Several alarms. Otherwise, it's, you know, 1 or 2 calls for medical, missing person, fucking complaints, kind of things like that. The big jump is for January, there were 199 calls. 54% of those were covered. That is now with 2 deputies working coverage for 7 days a week. Those calls, sorry. Alarms were the big calls for January with 15. We had 11 agency assists, so that would be us for the most part assisting our other county deputies on east side calls in and around Credit River. Few suspicious. We've been tracking, kind of cracking down on those a little bit more, asking our evening cars to try to do a little bit more patrolling in through the neighborhoods where we're getting those random cars parked and those suspicious calls coming in. That's kind of the just for December, January. But it's a nice change from that December to January with you know us covering significantly more of the calls that are coming in for credit river. As we have talked in the past, we're doing our monthly safety topic. So kind of goes along with the change in your agenda with the
Speed limit.
Speed limit. So it's speed safety awareness month this month. Unfortunately, the stat I have is not very good. So there's 385 people killed in traffic accidents in 2022. Down from previous year of 21, and we contributing that to people starting to slow down a little bit from the pandemic. Of those 385 fatalities, 17 were distracted driving, so that's the cell phone use, that type of stuff. 101 of those 385 were speed related alone. So it's a lot, unfortunately. So I know Deputy Strack and myself, I spent a fair amount of time working on traffic today, since it is our safety month for that, trying to crack down on 21 Texas Avenue going north from Eagle Creek. I'm making 170th. I was informed of that now, so we'll kind of get on top of that. In January for county calls for traffic, there were 101 total accidents. Credit River accounted for only 5 of those 101 that deputies respond to. So, and again, most of those accidents were January 11th, and I think the 19th again, January snowfall, so slick roads. So, overall, Credit River isn't accounting for a major quantity of the accidents at this time, but obviously with 21 being a main thoroughfare from 35 in the Prior Lake. Work on cracking it out.
Perfect. Appreciate that. Deputy Pearson, when you mentioned that number, we mentioned the number of accidents, was that or deaths? Was that statewide number, the 385?
Yeah, that is,
Okay.
that is a statewide number that's coming in,
Okay,
so
perfect.
still a lot,
That's still a lot,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
but yeah, it's, I can get our county statistic, if you'd like to know that, we can add that in there.
Okay.
So. Any questions?
anybody else have any questions or comments for Deputy Pearson? No?
No, thank you.
Perfect. No, I appreciate that. And yeah, so, one of the things for the resident wise, if you guys have a spot in Credit River that has some high speed traffic coming through from time to time, let us know, or report it to the deputy or the sheriff's department, and they'll do some extra patrols in those areas. They've been really good about that in the past when we've requested it in certain areas, and we have problems, the problems move around.
Or you get a little speed buggy, park it out.
Yeah, we got the speed trailer, probably not a winter thing for the speed trailer,
Yeah,
but
we typically do that non-snowy months.
Yeah.
But that is one that will get utilized,
Mhm,
definitely with, Sergeant Emerson is actually in charge of it, so.
sure.
We just need to know where we need to put it, and we'll get it in place.
Yeah.
So,
Cool. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Have a great evening. Be safe. Thank you. All right, let's move on to consent agenda. Those items on the council agenda which are considered routine, non-controversial are included as part of the consent agenda. Unless a council member specifically requests that an item on the consent agenda be removed and considered separately, items on the consent agenda are considered under one motion, a second, and a vote. Any item removed from the consent agenda shall be placed at the end of general business. Tonight on the consent agenda, we've got 5 items. Approved pay estimate number 2 for the 2022 overlay project. Approve the minutes of the January 30th City Council work session. Approve the minutes from the January 17th council meeting. Approve the minutes from the January 30th special council meeting. And approval of the premises permit for charitable gambling license for Minnesota JCC. Is there anything on the consent agenda tonight that anybody would like to pull and consider separately?
No.
If not, I would take a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Like that motion.
Thank you, Abe.
Second.
Thank you, Brent. Motion by Abe and a second by Brent to approve consent agenda as written. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Open forum. The public forum is intended to afford the public an opportunity to address concerns to the council. The public forum will be no longer than 30 minutes in length, and each presenter will have no more than 5 minutes to speak. Topics of discussion are restricted to local governmental topics rather than private or political agendas. The council may discuss, but will not take formal action on public forum presentations. Is there anybody here tonight that would like to speak in open forum? Going once, going twice. Hearing none, we will close open forum and we will move to general business. General business number 1, resolution, city council conflicts of interest. Mark, do you want to introduce, or I see Bob is on, Bob, our city attorney, would you like to introduce that subject for us, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. There is a law, Minnesota statute 471.88, that says that city council members, elected officials, if they are going to do work for the community outside their normal statutory duties as city council members or mayor, they need to have that's called a conflict of interest, but that can be waived if the city council with the interested person abstaining votes unanimously to allow it, adopting a resolution to that effect. And historically, Credit River we've always called it, since I've been working with you for about 20 years, a man in a truck. But there is quite a bit of service that you guys provide to the town that is beyond what you normally would do as city council members. And what I have done is created a resolution for each elected official to be considered by the city council. And I would, if this is appropriate, I would ask that the city council approve each resolution with the interested council member that is being discussed abstaining. And, this is to give you a chance to be able to provide general road maintenance activities and road safety services to the town. Also in the past, I think I know Leroy has rented his equipment to the town. If you are going to get compensated for this, this has to be on file. Otherwise, it's a criminal act. So that's why we've historically done this for the town board and the city council, but we now have 2 new members, and it's time to update it.
Okay. Sounds good. And you guys saw that in the packets. Everybody had that understanding of that piece of it. So it's a piece of protection so that when we're out, changing a road sign or picking up trash along Murphy Boulevard, if you wanted to go pick that couch up, anybody's willing to go pick that couch up. And not just move it to sit and we'll look over the lake, but because that's what somebody did over the weekend. Thought it was a nice couch to go sit by the lake.
Yeah.
But all those items, right? Well, you read it,
if you want, you can drag it onto a county road and call the sheriff.
there we go.
And then they have to pick it.
Well, it worked really good moving it to the park because the park picked one of them up
Yeah,
today.
it was in the park, it was in a park truck today.
So anyways, all right, so we are asked to do this 5 separate ones with the member who is about abstaining. So we'll start with resolution 2023-02. That one's mine, so I will abstain from that one. So if anybody's ready to make a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Leroy.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jay. Motion and a second to approve resolution 2023-02. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Number 2 is resolution 2023-03, and this would be Abe's. So Abe, I'm gonna ask you to abstain from this one. Do we have a motion and a second to approve?
I'll make a motion
resolution?
to approve.
I'll second. I'll take Jay on that one. Yeah, he was a little quicker than you were that time.
Good.
All right, so I have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2023-03. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 4-0 with Councilmember Zanto abstaining. Next one will be for Leroy. That'll be 2023-04. Do I have a motion and a second to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Abe.
Second.
Thank you, Brent. A motion and a second to approve 2023-04. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes with Councilmember Schomer abstaining. Next one will be for Councilmember Lawrence. That will be 2023-05. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move.
Thank you, Jay.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Leroy. Motion and a second to approve resolution 2023-05. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 4-0 with Councilmember Lawrence abstaining. And the last but not least will be 2023-06 for Councilmember Soderbach. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Abe.
I'll second.
Thank you, Leroy. Motion is second to pass resolution 2023-06. All in favor, say aye. Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 4-0 with Councilmember Soderbach abstaining. All right. 5 motions that quick. Perfect. Bob, anything else on that one?
No, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Bob. Next up, we have appointment of planning commissioners.
Mr.
Mr.
Mayor. Yes, in December, you established a process for filling what would be 2 vacancies on the planning commission. An advertisement was sent out, posted. We had 9 applicants for that process, then got narrowed down to 4 finalists, which were interviewed by an interview panel made up of the mayor, vice mayor, planning chair, and vice chair. After those interviews, they are recommending 2 individuals, one Calvin Casey and the second being Thane Tandy for appointment. These are 2-year terms. They start March 1st. There's a vacancy now caused by a resignation, and Councilor Zanto is still serving double duty. I was unable to get a hold of one of the individuals to see if they would be available for starting in February. So at this point, there's nothing to look at as far as starting before March 1st, unless you wanted to have one of the two start the February when the vacancy is there. Otherwise, you could adopt a resolution that's before you tonight for appointments to begin March 1st of this year.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. So again, you heard the recommendation from the interview panel for the two candidates. At this point, any questions, comments, or
Yeah, Mr.
would we
Mayor,
pick a motion whenever we're ready?
just a quick question. So we're actually not going to review the final four. That's just been done for us. Is that correct? Or,
Yeah, that was the process that we'd all agreed on.
okay,
Mhm.
all right.
Question I have, what was the experience based off, this is our second planning commission, right?
Yeah.
What we feel, was it better than the first one, was it?
Well,
Could we improve?
yeah, and that's a good question, Abe, because it's the first one. It was just we only did the first step. You know, we had 13 applicants and we basically said, council members rank these applicants and we'll take the top 5. I think this is a better process to at least get some, time with each applicant to kind of sort that out, because I think if we looked at that process, I think if you ask the 4 members, I think some people change their minds based upon the interviews.
You're talking. The interviewers changed their mind.
Yeah, because I think some people came in with some thoughts on who they thought,
Okay.
and I think some, judging by the discussion that happened after the interviews, I think some of that thought process was changed a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was very beneficial. Interviewing
Yeah.
candidates, very
Absolutely.
beneficial, yeah.
Yeah.
Did we get feedback from the 9? What did they experience? Was that a positive experience for them, or was there things that they were hoping? I mean, obviously, if they didn't get chosen and they
Right.
wanted to, but was there any?
Well,
feedback
I would
that was-
defer that question to Administrator McNeil, because he's the one who reached out to him afterwards. Did you have any feedback from anybody, Mark?
I only had telephone conversations with 4 finalists, and I notified the others by email and thanking them for
Mhm.
their interest, and most responded back and acknowledged the receipt of that information. So I don't know that I have any feedback beyond that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, we have before us resolution 2023-08 appointing Thane Tandy and Kelvin Casey. If anybody's ready to make a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Thank you, Brent.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Leroy. Motion and a second to approve resolution 2023-08, resolution appointing commissioners to serve on the Credit River Planning Commission. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Abe, I do want to say the one thing that you'd asked a question earlier, talking about the term lengths of that.
Yeah,
I
I was wrong.
Okay,
Yeah, I thought it was 2 and 4 for whatever reason.
Right.
So, yeah.
yeah, okay, so you're good with the term lengths at this point?
As long as I think my big concern is you got all 5 at the
Yeah,
same time.
no, they're
So if we're
alternating.
staggering, I think that's good.
Okay, perfect. I
think
just wanted if we wanted to discuss that, if there's any need to change the ordinance again, but
I think it would be beneficial, when Bill and Amy
mhm,
and Steve are done, getting some feedback to say, okay, was that long enough? Or
Yeah.
was it, 'cause I know my experience was, what was
Well-
that, 12?
you don't think that those 3 are lifetime appointments?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you signed it, that little small print down there, no. Yeah, no, that's a good thought, yeah.
Because I just got to the point where I'm like, okay, and now I got it, I'm understanding, and then I think it could be
Mhm,
beneficial. So is 2 years long enough, or is going to 3 better?
right. Yeah, I think that's a really good thought, that we could have those conversations as we come up to those terms expiring. And see if that's something that we want to amend that ordinance again. Yeah, okay, perfect. All right, Leroy, speed limits on County Road 27.
I think anybody that drives 27. You gotta go about 70 to keep up to the cars on it, so from 185th down to County Road 44, it's 55 miles an hour. That's about a mile and a half. From there, going north, it's 50 miles an hour
Past the high
till
school.
you get past the high school. Then it turns to 55 again, going through that low area. When you come up the hill to Dufferin Drive, it turns to 50 again, all the way to the end to County Road 16. So my thought is, if it's good enough to be 50 for the residential area in Savage, it should be 50 all the way past our residential area in Casey's addition. Instead of this up and down 50, 55. I think it would be easier to patrol. And maybe they'll go 60 then.
Yep, makes sense.
Well, and that's the key, right? We could set it at any speed that
Yeah,
we want to,
we
and
found that
people
out.
are, no matter what we do, we could put whatever sign we want. Get 25 miles an hour, they'll drive 60.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I think it'd just be more consistency on that road would be
Yeah.
great.
so since it's county road, we don't have jurisdiction over that
No.
speed limit. You know, I think our best effort can be, should we have Shane as our engineer reach out to county highway?
County Highway or Leslie or,
Yeah, probably right to Tony.
yeah.
So
that would
to
be
be
great.
clear, question,
Yeah,
we are asking to raise the speed limit or lower it?
lower it.
Okay.
From 55 to 50, the section, the new
Two
section that was just built,
Okay.
right? Yeah, oh, the two sections.
Well, Savage.
I mean,
can do
Savage
whatever
can
they
do
want.
it, we
Try to
can't
make it
really
uniform.
recommend a
But-
speed limit in Savage. I mean, it'd be great if we could, but.
But they should, I think they should look at it. It'd be easier
Mhm.
to patrol, easier to ticket people.
Yeah,
So
okay.
easier for the.
Well, and Commissioner Wolf is here, so he's hearing this, so
Mhm.
maybe he can pass something along or, you know.
I think those are regulated by the state, right?
It could be, I mean, because it is a state assisted highway, there's
I do see the point
possibility.
where it's 50, 55.
Mhm.
That's-
And not a really whole lot changes in the road, right? I mean, the road is pretty much the same, the
Right, it's the same
density,
design.
the density along the road is the same. You know, it's all controlled intersections, you know, with protected turn lanes.
It's 50 in the residential area in Savage.
Mhm.
We have the residential area in our area where it's 55.
Yeah,
So I just,
Mark, if you'd take a note and ask Engineer Nelson to reach out to Tony Winnicky at Scott County and discuss the options for that, please.
We'll get a report back to you.
Cool. All right.
So is there a requirement for action on that, or we're just?
Yeah, really, at this time, we don't have any action that we can take, other than to ask staff to investigate that with the county, because it's not, you know, it's not our. We can't
Right.
control the speed on it, so.
No, I'm just looking at, do we need to do that? To direct him to do that, or we need to have a,
Something like that, we can just ask
You want-
staff to take, you know,
Okay.
to take a look at that.
all right,
Yeah,
Unless there's someone that doesn't agree.
it's not,
But
yeah,
I agree. I
no,
mean,
I might,
It's not a
if you were
not a-
talking about raising.
it's not a
the rate,
controversial,
Then I think you want to go
Yeah.
and ask the neighborhood what they want.
yeah. Well, I think what we're gonna find out too, and Wolf, Commissioner Wolf alluded to, is that it may be a standards thing that probably may not be able to be adjusted anyways, so.
Well, the interesting thing is though, that it's the same road design
Mhm.
now, all the way,
Yeah,
so. You would.
I think
you
what
would
they're,
it should be
what they're gonna say is depending on the density around it. It's probably what guides that. We'll find out. Let's
Yeah.
let the engineers
Right,
talk it over. You know.
Okay.
Mhm.
thank you.
Absolutely. All right, sounds good. Let's move on to claims listings. Dominique.
I need to request a transfer. The claims for tonight are 273, 595 and 5 cents. So we need to transfer from savings to checking 255,000. And then the claims for approval are 273, 595.05. And the big one to highlight in there is the police, the first part of the year police payment, which is part of our agreement.
Okay. Sounds good. Anybody have any questions on the claims in the listing tonight? Otherwise, I would take a motion to approve the transfer and the payment of the claims.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make the motion, transfer $255,000 from savings to checking and also approve the claims tonight.
Perfect. Thank you, Brent.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Leroy. A motion and a second to approve the transfer of $255,000 from savings to checking and payment of claims in the amount of $273,595.05. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Council member liaison updates and council member reports. Anybody have anything tonight?
Tom's Tree Services trimming trees on Murphy Boulevard.
Okay.
And 106, lower 167 Sunset Trail. They could, whenever we would get around to doing them, they couldn't trim the oaks because it was the wrong time of the year, so. They're doing it now.
Yeah, they were really drooping this year.
Yeah, Brent pointed out one on 165th and then 175th, where was almost gonna have it.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're gonna get them over the next week here now.
we'll get Randy on the one on the Madsen property.
Finally got their boat truck back.
Oh, good. Okay. Cool.
No snowplow complaints?
No snowplow complaints.
Mailboxes? No, good. Well,
No.
we're on the roll.
So far, so good for January, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. We'll see what happens in February and March yet.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think we got all the weak mailboxes weeded out.
the ones that tip off when the snow hits them and not even when you contact them with a blade, right?
Yeah.
I know. The only other thing, I think, Mark had it in his weekly address, but at Scale Exec last Friday, one thing we heard from our working with them on, they were, remember, was it a month ago, we approved a letter to be sent to the legislator from Scott County regarding the THC and asking for, not, and understand that we're not asking to stop or whatever that legislation, but ask for local control as far as zoning, where it can happen, and that it sounds like that's momentum is growing, that is going to end up in the bill, which would be good in the end of that. Plus, I think the other piece of that also is so some of the funding can come back down for where the expense is expected to happen for law enforcement, mental health, and other pieces like that. But that was kind of a breaking news on Friday at the Scale Exec.
Good.
Yeah. That's all I've got. Brent, anything? No?
Trash and trees, that's it.
Trash and trees. Yeah.
You know, if you burn that, Brent, it'll be a lot lighter.
We're talking about one of those couches.
Yeah.
That we would do.
Yeah.
All right.
Now that we have the liability things,
Yeah.
well, they're not signed yet, so we're not.
Yeah, wait till we sign them. All right. Sounds good. If anybody has anything else, otherwise I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
Thank you, Abe.
Second.
Thank you, Leroy. Motion and second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you.